YouTube! Que pasa? It's Brendan, aka The Blueprint. So I'm 24 years old right now, and since the time I was in high school, I've wanted to be a fitness influencer, as most do nowadays. So since the time that I was just a kid, I always struggle with being more on the chubby side. Like chubby side, you know what I mean? I've always struggled with being more on the chubby side. Not overweight, but definitely skinny fat. And honestly, despite wearing lots of layers and thick clothing, you could still see it in my face, in my chest. It's like I couldn't escape. Another struggle of mine that fueled the fire even more was when I started my pubescent journey. What a crazy time. I was about 13 at the time and unfortunately developed gynecomastia. For all you that don't know what that is, it's basically just puffy nipples, which when combined with a flabby chest can be a deadly combo. I can attest to that. In addition, I got bullied a lot by others. So overall, I gained a lot of emotional wounds that ignited the spark in me to want to exercise and eat healthy. It's swole, baby. You see forearms like this before, have you? Cramp. Yeah, baby. Another thing that was difficult was that almost every one of my siblings, cousins, friends, all seemed to be skinnier and shorter, which for somebody like me was always more difficult due to the fact that I was taller, chubbier, and ate more food than everyone else. For lack of a better phrase, I stuck out like a sore thumb. So I'm not gonna go too into depth with my past experiences and struggles. I'll probably just go over that in a future video. For now, I just wanna convey the idea to you all where I came from. So I have plans to discuss when I consistently started to exercise and diet in a future video. For now, I just want to explain when exercise and health started to become a part of my life. The year was 2014. I was a freshman in high school. Fast forward a couple months into my freshman year, and you'll find me in my PE class preparing to take a body fat percentage test. Now at the time, I didn't have a lot of friends, and I was also very self-conscious about my body. I remember after my PE teacher handed me my body fat percentage calculator, I was looking and listening to all the kids' conversations. They're all interested in whose was the lowest and who was the most fit. I secretly listened in as I heard all of them laughing and shouting, I'm 15%, I'm 13%, oh wait, I'm 12%. I remember vividly listening to all of them laugh at one of their friends who was a tall kid like me because he was, and get this, 18% body fat. I know, crazy, right? Anyways, regardless of how embarrassed I was, I still mustered up the courage to take on the required challenge. I pulled myself over to the farthest corner of the gymnasium where I felt confident that no one would be able to see my percentage or ask me about it. So I placed my hands on the metallic handles and let the device read my BMI or BFP, whatever you want to call it, and out came my score. As I glanced down with utter fear, I gazed upon the percentage and it said in bold lettering, 25%. My heart sank into my stomach at that point, and I quickly glanced around the room to make sure that nobody was looking. By the end, I walked up to my gym teacher and told him my percentage, and frightenedly watched as he recorded my score onto a piece of paper attached to his clipboard. That particular moment really sparked something in me. After that, I started exercising at home. Basic calisthenic workouts. Honestly, the routine was, I don't know if you guys remember this influencer. This is over a decade ago, but I used to watch him a lot. His name was Mike Chang. He would do these quick little workout ab videos, like 2-minute abs. It was such a clickbait channel for any inexperienced person like me. And he had a 5-minute HIIT cardio video that I would start my exercise with. I would train just watching it, copying everything they did, and it was just like basic, like standing in place, doing stuff like mountain climbers, burpees, some push-ups. It's just like stuff like that, sit-ups. And I would do that for 5 minutes, and then I would do, I think it was 50 push-ups, 50 sit-ups, and I'm trying to think if there was anything else. Oh yeah, it was like 30 leg lifts, maybe like 50 crunchies. It was like very basic, as basic as comes. I was 14 at the time. I didn't have friends who showed me how to exercise. I didn't have coaches. I didn't have parents who taught me anything. Like literally, I was just trying to figure it out on my own. That's honestly all I did. I wasn't dieting though, I was just exercising. This lasted about 3 months, and I felt like for the first time in my life, I was actually making big changes in my life. It was actually really cool towards the end because I actually started to develop some abs on the upper region of my core. Sadly, it all came to a swift end once I broke my leg. Now, when I say broke my leg, I mean completely destroyed. Both my left tibia and fibula were completely mangled, and I undertook extreme surgery and recovery from this incident. As a result from this, I lost all my progress, and within just a matter of no time at all, regressed back to my skinnier, fat, chubbier self. Being that recovery took about 1.5 years, I spent the remainder of my freshman year and the majority of sophomore year trying to heal. My goals and ambitions at this point kind of died due to the circumstances. Moving forward in my life, I eventually recovered from my injury, and my junior year of high school began. At this point, I would say I was pretty much concerned with just being skinny fit. I had this idea that I could be skinny enough to see my abs by losing weight, which isn't false. From that point on, I had made it a must in my life to follow an extremely strict diet, which, funny enough, my diet was strict, but it wasn't like, I don't know. It was strict. Like, there's still things in it that, like, nowadays, like, I know I probably wouldn't have eaten that. Although due to a lack of food choices with my parents' pantry and the strict rules that they had about cooking, it was very difficult to consume all the macros I needed in order to get bigger. Regardless of the setting that I was in, I was determined to reach my goal of becoming skinny fit and achieving that glorious skinny pack that I never had. I have a list of foods that I ate, actually. I wrote this down. Yeah, the foods that I consumed consisted of turkey meat, so like deli, right? Lettuce, salads and sandwiches, hot sauce, white cheese, as long as like American. I don't even know if I really did white cheese. It was probably just like a string cheese, almonds, Wheaties, like Wheaties cereal with almond milk, Greek yogurt and fruits and veggies. Yeah, that's pretty much the list. I know, right? It's pretty limited. To give you all some context, at the start of this journey, I was 6'4" and 164 pounds. And by the time that I'd ended my junior year of high school, I was sitting at a whopping 6'4", 137 pounds. And despite reaching my goal of obtaining a skinny pack, this definitely came with a cost. I lost a lot of potential for growth and size during my youth. Ultimately, this spiraled me down another path where I felt I need to gain size due to how skinny I had become, which leads us to my senior year of high school. I had signed up for a weight training class with some buddies of mine so that I could actually start using weights. My parents were very strict, and so they never let me get a license, nor could I really hang out with friends without being interrogated and monitored the whole night. So during that time, I was focused on eating as much food as I could and getting as much weight training as I could. I remember asking my parents primarily for fitness equipment during Christmas and my birthday. From that point on, I was pretty consistent with exercising and eating more. I'm definitely not going to pretend like I was training perfectly or even coming close to living the standards and or following the same regimen that I do now, unlike most fitness influencers that lie about it. However, I will say that I definitely became more fit conscious and active during that time. For the most part, I was pretty consistent all the way up until the last quarter of my senior year. At that point, I will honestly say that I wasn't working out at all, nor was I gaining any size from eating. Once I'd reached the end of my senior year and graduated, I kind of had a come to Jesus moment. Basically, I went down to the basement where my fitness room was and asked my dad and my brother to spot me on bench and asked for them to load up 4 plates. I loaded 185 pounds on, which during my senior year, I could rep for like 4 reps. I had them give me a little lift off and I couldn't even get it up once. I was extremely disappointed with myself and couldn't believe that I let myself fall so far. As my dad and my brother turned their attention towards me, they could see how distraught I was with myself. Immediately, I stood up from the bench and looked them both in their eyes. I swore to them that I would never mess up with my training again. At the time, I was working with my brother, so I looked directly at him and told him that starting tomorrow, you and I are gonna go to the gym every morning at 6 a.m. until I leave for my 2-year humanitarian mission. Just a little disclosure, I'll be going over the rest of my journey in a part 2. So before I go, I want to give some context of some of the stuff that I studied and researched over the course of my high school years. This consisted of every food to gain muscle, lose weight, boost your metabolism, etc. I also researched multiple fitness influencers. At the time, I was very inexperienced. So at the time, I would fall for those get 6-pack abs quick videos all the time. Over the course of trying to learn more, I struggled a ton with trying to keep myself motivated in such a fabricated market. They would talk so much about what you should eat, do, or take to get fit, but would never tell the truth about what they were eating or doing or taking to be where they're at. Luckily, my determination outweighed the pain, and I pushed past all the baloney, ultimately reaching my goals and learning the truth about fitness and health. Be sure to leave a like, dislike, or a comment, and make sure to subscribe if you actually want to know what it takes to reach your fitness and health goals. Thanks, guys.